Hello and welcome to this week's YouTube video. Do you struggle to use green in your oil paintings and your foliage doesn't look natural? Are you finding it hard to integrate that object into its natural surroundings so that it takes on the colours of the plant life around it? Your colours on your palette are important. In today's video, I'm going to show you how I painted Dottie so that she really took on that garden cat feel. Let me show you the reference photo, which is really beautiful because that cat really takes on the greens of the garden in its fur. I don't paint a lot of greenery, and so I really had to overhaul my palette for this one. Let's have a look at the colours on my palette. They include cadmium yellow light, yellow ochre light, transparent yellow oxide, cadmium red, alizarin crimson, transparent red oxide, terra rosa, transparent oxide brown, ultramarine deep, and titanium zinc white. I have also mixed up a few other colours, a black red, a black green. When I mix these two together, I get my rich black, a purple and an orange. I've also mixed up 3 other greens, which are different temperatures and different saturations. If I show you the reference photo again, you will see how the camera has picked up all the detail of that foliage. You don't want to paint it like that because the eye would not see it in this way. The eye would see it more like this. So I need to concentrate on the colour and temperature of the background and also that garden feel. I need to ignore the detail and just suggest the garden around her. I've painted this cat in 3 sittings. Each sitting is around 3 hours. I've worked on consecutive days, so the paint is still wet, which allows me to push and pull it around. For my first attempt, I am just getting some paint on my canvas. I'm just going for the average blocks of colour. This gives me a bit of a template for when I start to add a bit more detail. Notice how rough that background is. I have taken a slightly larger brush and just added my paint very roughly to that canvas. I'm also mixing the paint on the canvas board itself. I'll pick up a transparent brown and a viridian for this area here and just sort of mix them about with my brush as I lay them on the board. As I move up, I begin to mix in this green with my viridian and add a little of my warm colours. Remember, there is a lot of warmth in greens, so you need to always add a bit of warmth to it, as well as pushing a little cooler in some areas too. If you look at your colour wheel, you'll notice that green is a transitionary colour. It can be warm and it can be cool. This is exactly how foliage behaves, and so I need to vary my colours to give it a realistic feel. If I am attempting to warm it up, I can use this orange or perhaps yellow ochre light or cadmium yellow light. I also have the option of using my terra rosa, my transparent brown oxide, or my black red. All of these colours will give me different mixes of green, so I would really recommend playing about with your mixing and trying to add different warm temperatures. If I'm going to go the other way and cool my green down, I have less choice of colours. I can use either my ultramarine deep or my white. So look at your green and ask yourself, what is the temperature of the green you are trying to paint? Is it warm or is it cool? In my reference photo, you'll notice the light is warm because I have bright sunshine. So my shadows will be cool. Remember the rule, warm light equals cool shadows. My cat is in the shadows with a few spots of sun. So my cat will be largely a cooler brown and a cooler light. My background will be cooler in this area down here, but will move into warmer passages up here. There is a slight caveat to this though. In the deepest, darkest areas of my shadows, I am always best off throwing in a warm colour. For my warmer passages in the sunshine, I need to remember that white is a cool colour, so I will compensate with my yellows and oranges when I add white up here. Now I know how my temperatures will behave in this painting, I need to be careful I don't overdo it on the blue or the white, otherwise it will look chalky. I'll start off with a base brown using my purple, a little yellow ochre light, a little cadmium yellow and some viridian. I will use my white and purple to control the value. To control the temperature, I will use my cadmium yellow and my yellow ochre light. Bear in mind that cadmium yellow will give me a cooler brown mix than yellow ochre light. I can also add some of my lovely lighter greens too, as well as my transparent brown oxide too, that will give me some lovely warm dark passages. As I move across my cooler passages, I will add more blue or more viridian to my base brown. It's adding these greens to my browns that will help my cat feel integrated into that foliage and give it that garden cat feel. For the cat's white areas, I have used a little of my purple, my viridian, and a small amount of transparent yellow oxide. Notice how I vary my mix between grey, green and blue. All the same colours but just in different mixes. My white area is in the sunshine, so I have to be careful how I handle this area. If I just add white, it won't work because it will be cool against cool. I need to add a little yellow into that area first, and then I can add my white over the top. Parts of the yellow will show through and so help to give me that temperature change that I need. Finally, I should say a little bit about the brushwork and the edges. Very often you will need to work hard to lose those edges or make them soft. So the edge along the cat's back needs to be lost into that foliage. The edge down the cat's chest will need some attention too, because the fur is not super sharp. The only really hard edge I have is the one along the nose. When dealing with edges, you need to make sure there is enough paint on your canvas. I like these flat Art Master brushes, and you need them in pretty good shape. As they age, they tend to lose that lovely point. You can still use them, but not in this way. You need to sort of push the paint, a little like you would spreading butter. You can then push the edges into each other. And here we have the finished painting. I hope you have enjoyed today's video and found it useful. Please like and subscribe if you can, and check out my website sarahhallidayart.com, where you will find examples of my work and also details of online classes that I run. Thank you for watching and see you for the next one.